Hello, Libra Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your June 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that first and foremost you watch your ascendant sign horoscope, otherwise known as your rising sign. Having said that, if you do have time to watch your sun and your moon sign horoscopes as well, please do, because watching all three will give you a very well-rounded idea of what you can expect for your month ahead. Now, let's start off at the beginning. On the 3rd of June, Mercury will station direct in the sign of Taurus at 26 degrees in your 8th house. Now, Mercury will have been retrograde through your 8th house in Taurus as well as your 9th house in Gemini. So basically, by the time you get to around, the first few days of June, you may have revisited an astrologer that you've seen before, or a tarot reader, or anyone who practices any form of divination. You may have gone back to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or you could just be reevaluating anything that's like a fear for you or a trigger, or even for those of you who may have an addiction to something, you may have figured out how to overcome these addictions or these fears during the Mercury retrograde period. And that is because Mercury retrogrades allow us to see things from a different perspective. So in that way, we can be quite creative with coming up with solutions to complex problems. Now, on a different level, the 8th house is connected to anything which is secret information. So you may actually discover some sort of secret during this Mercury retrograde period, or information which has been buried. And on a different note, for those of you who have been doing some deep research into a certain topic, you can actually have a breakthrough in this department. Now, because Mercury will have been retrograde in your 9th house, you could have made some significant changes to your travel plans or to your education courses. Maybe you went back to school, changed courses, quit school. And basically, with the Mercury retrograde period, this can see you having maybe made mental assessments or decisions about things, but maybe you're acting on them now. Or if there's been delays in anything that you've been expecting. So, for example, maybe you've been expecting some money to come through, maybe your partner's pay has been delayed. After the Mercury retrograde period ends, this is when the dust can settle, and on a different level, going back to travel and education, you may have to postpone your trip till after the Mercury retrograde period, or perhaps you applied for a transfer with a course or to a different college or university, and you are waiting on approval for that, or maybe even just you're waiting to get like your marks back, like from an assessment for school or something. Now, on the 4th or 5th of June, depending where you live in the world, Saturn will station retrograde in the sign of Aquarius at 25 degrees in your 5th house. So the 5th house is connected to having fun, going on vacations, indulging ourselves, parties, celebrations, and it also rules over owning your own business, and it represents your love life, like your dating life. It is connected to sex as well, and the 5th house also represents children, and specifically your firstborn child at that. So wherever Saturn goes, this is where we can experience delays or limitations or be working really hard at something. I'm not going to lie, Saturn in the 5th house can be like a dampener on fun or on your love life. But when it is retrograde, this allows you an opportunity to work really hard on the things or in the areas that you want to see some sort of development in. So on one hand, for those of you who have children, this can see you experiencing difficulties with your children, or maybe certain challenges, or you could be basically restructuring how you raise them. So there could be some sort of new routine that you are introducing into their life. if they're a bit older, they could be going through a period of time where they're sort of, rebuilding themselves. When I say that, the fifth house represents their first house. So it's sort of like Saturn retrograde here can indicate that they're working really hard on themselves and bettering themselves somehow. Now, for those of you who are dating, this can see you either refraining from dating, maybe going celibate, or perhaps for those of you who are dating someone right now, there can be some difficulties or challenges in that relationship that you two are trying to work out between you. For those of you who own your own business, this can see you restructuring your business, streamlining your processes, trimming the fat, so to speak, and actually becoming more efficient. So you may be pruning the services that you offer or the products that you sell just to be more productive, more efficient, like I said, and essentially you're working on eliminating things that are a waste of your time. So this can see you actually, stopping procrastinating so much, because Saturn retrograde can allow you to like hyper focus on something that you're trying to create. The fifth house represents hobbies and passions and creativity, just generally speaking. So this can see you maybe editing a book, finishing a book, training or like working hard to master some sort of skill in a creative sense. And Saturn will be retrograde until the 23rd of October. Saturn goes retrograde for 5 months every year. It's not necessarily a big deal, but I do like to mention it. And lastly on that, just remember that Saturn is trining you as a Libra sun, moon, or rising. So ultimately, this experience of Saturn going through your fifth house is somehow going to make you more focused, more disciplined, and, have more authority in your creative endeavors, or even in your love life, your dating life. This can see you sort of, I don't want to say being like less passive, but feeling more powerful in that connection. Now, on the 11th/12th of June, depending where you live in the world, Venus will form a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus in your 8th house. And this conjunction occurs about once a year. And because Venus is your ruling planet, whether you are a Libra, sun, moon, or rising, you will feel this one for sure, because conjunctions to Uranus are very potent when they involve our chart ruler. So because this is occurring in the 8th house, this can affect you in a few different ways. One would be changes to your mutual resources, having some sort of psychological breakthrough, a crisis or a sudden reversal taking place, but also this can lead to you experiencing like a sudden healing, or, the 8th house is connected to miracles. It's not like I want to sit here and, get everyone's hopes up, but how this conjunction plays out will really depend on your own personal natal chart and what areas of that are being triggered. So for some of you, this can indicate a surprise pregnancy, because the 8th house represents conception. Uranus rules over your 5th house, which represents children, and Venus is your chart ruler. So the fact that I'm seeing your chart ruler, which is you, your 5th house, which is children, and the 8th house, which is conception and fertility, all being activated in this transit, is leading me to arrive at this particular prediction for some of you. I would say this would be more for Libra risings and Libra moons, less so for Libra suns. So I just want to make that distinction. Now, the 8th house, like I said, is connected to mutual resources. So this can see you receiving a lump sum of money, which could be quite surprising to you. This could be an inheritance. This could be from someone that you are dating, especially because Uranus rules over the 5th house. Also, on a different level, because the 5th house represents the people that we're dating, for someone who's maybe in more of a casual relationship or it's still early days, you could receive some financial assistance from the person that you've just started dating. And on a different note, Uranus rules over your 5th house, which represents owning your own business. So this can see you basically earning a lot of money, which is connected to something to do with your own business or something that you have created. And I just want to note, though, that Uranus is the planet which represents sudden change and shocking developments. On one hand, the conjunction indicates something new that is starting or investing in something further. On a different level, Uranus can be the planet of divorce and separation. So, because your fifth house being ruled by Uranus is involved here, there's something about big wins and big losses. So, although this is a general reading, I would advise you to maybe avoid risking it for the biscuit during this particular conjunction, because it's very difficult to predict which way things are going to go. If I could just make a blanket statement, if you're risking a lot of money or a lot of your resources to try and win big, this is where I feel like the rug can be pulled from beneath you. On the other hand, if you're sort of not expecting anything, you're not, trying to achieve anything or execute anything, this is where, you can look in your bank account and be like, whoa, where did this money come from? Or where did these stocks come from? So there is this like element of surprise, which is coming through with this Venus-Uranus conjunction. Now, the eighth house is connected to psychology, fears, addictions, and understanding things at a deeper level. So this could actually be connected to your family and your emotional foundations. And I'm saying this because not only is this conjunction at 16 degrees, which is the Cancer degree, which is connected to family, home life, property, and emotional well-being. This conjunction is actually opposite the moon in Scorpio, which will be at 20 degrees in your second house. So it appears that a psychological breakthrough that could be taking place would pertain to family matters, how you feel at an emotional level. You could actually go through a cord cutting process with a former sexual partner or romantic partner, as indicated by Uranus ruling over the fifth house. And you could actually have a big breakthrough when it comes to intimacy issues. So maybe you have fears pertaining to emotional intimacy or issues related to your sex life. Now, like I said at the beginning, the eighth house is connected to healing, miracles, as well as sudden reversals and crises. So you could have a health ailment suddenly dissipate, or it could just leave your life. You could have a successful surgery, as the eighth house is the house which rules over surgeries. Now, of course, this can indicate an accident occurring because it involves your chart ruler. The eighth house can represent accidents, as can Uranus. So I would say more for you Libra risings and suns to just be quite careful around this date, which once again is the 11th/12th of June. I would not be doing any sort of crazy, physical activities like skydiving or bungee jumping or whatever. I would, I've got a Virgo moon, so I'm kind of like avoidant to this stuff anyway. So I feel like every single month I'm advising someone not to go bungee jumping, but whatever. Now, this can indicate you discovering some kind of truth bomb, especially if it is connected to family, because again, we've got the 16th degree, which is the Cancer degree, which is family. It's opposite the moon. The moon represents family as well. Moon will be in Scorpio. So again, this is lending itself to talking about, sordid topics, secrets, things being revealed. Just remember, though, that Uranus is the planet of divine knowledge and information. So whatever you may uncover around this period of time, whatever information is revealed to you, it will somehow serve you in terms of like your higher self and your higher purpose. So now if we're looking at the 15th/16th of June, we're going to have Mars conjunct Chiron in Aries at 15 degrees in your seventh house. This happens about once every 2 years, and Chiron is the wounded healer in astrology. It's based on Greek mythology, where Chiron was a centaur who was a gifted healer. He was able to heal everyone except for himself. And basically, he was fatally wounded. And then, he lived out the rest of his days in perpetual pain and suffering. I'm not saying that's you guys. Wherever we have Chiron in our charts, this is where we can basically have a spiritual breakthrough and achieve spiritual enlightenment in some way, shape, or form. Chiron in Aries has been a very interesting transit because Aries is the most physical sign. It represents the physical body. Chiron in Aries is very much connected to our primal instincts, acting on fear, desires, lust, and of course, Mars as a planet is connected to sex. So, looking at this conjunction together in your seventh house, this will impact you in one or more of the following ways. Your significant other, your spouse, a business partner, or a friend talking about something which is very painful for them. Or the shoe could be on the other foot where you are speaking to them about something that is painful for you. And on a different note, for those of you who are single and you don't want to be single, maybe you're looking for someone, you're looking for love, this can see you discovering why you have not found the relationship that you are looking for. So this is really going to be a deep and uncomfortable period of soul searching for you. Again, it's the 15th/16th of June. So, even a couple days before that and a couple days after, the focus can be on your personal relationships during that period of time. But if we're just unraveling this a little bit further, your spouse, your significant other, business partner, or friend, or someone that you're in a close one-on-one relationship with could be talking to you or communicating things to you which are connected to something which is painful for them within either their relationship with you, something that you're doing, something that they have experienced, and now they're just confiding this information in you. The reason I'm talking about communication so much is because the 15th degree in astrology is the Gemini degree. So this is really all about your communications with other people, especially because the conjunction is taking place in your seventh house, which is an air sign house, again, also connected to relationships and communications. So this individual could be revealing their true feelings to you, or about the relationship. They could be getting very honest with you. Now, Chiron can also represent the ways in which we hurt other people consciously or unconsciously or inadvertently. So, worst case scenario, this individual says something to you which is very hurtful. Now, it's your job to discern whether this is a true and accurate statement, which is hard for you to hear, very painful. It's a very painful pill to swallow. Or are they projecting something onto you? Is it your job in this instance to say, well, not necessarily to respond to them, but just for you at an inner level to go, okay, I know that this is untrue. I've done the work. I know that this is not a reflection of who I am. So it's about not taking on board other people's projections or commentary if it is actually not, not consistent with you or congruent with who you know yourself to be. So, on a different level, it could be you that is communicating to them what hurts you about the relationship. So, communication is key here. Maybe a lack of communication altogether is the hot topic. Hey, you never tell me when you're upset, or when I open up to you, you don't listen to me, or I feel like you don't hear me. You listen, but you don't hear. So, that could be something which is discussed in one or more of your relationships. And maybe you're saying to them that their words really sting, or that they say things that are unfair or below the belt. So, on a different level, if this conversation is with your significant other or a friend or a spouse, It could be that you have grievances with their relatives or their siblings or their friends. Again, we're taking the Gemini degree into consideration here. So ultimately, takeaway points are: one, you may sever ties with a connection in your life, but the purpose is to heal. And this can be with or without the other person. It just depends on your own personal set of circumstances. And I do actually see this as being a huge potential for growth and a breakthrough in your personal relationships. So I hope that this wasn't too heavy. Just so you know, my Mars is conjunct Chiron. So I have a very, very deep interest in Chiron. And that's why I'm focusing on it so much, because it really can help you sort of unlock the rest of your chart for those of you who study your own natal horoscope. Now, for the fun stuff, on the 22nd/23rd of June, Venus is going to enter the sign of Gemini. And Venus is your chart ruler. So wherever Venus goes, this is what you're doing. These are the experiences that you're having. This is what your focus is on. And the 9th house trines you as a Libra sun, moon, or rising. So love, love, love it. This is an exciting 3 to 4 week period, until the 17th/18th of July, where you can feel more inspired, go on more adventures. You can feel like you're in quite an exploratory mood, whether this is through the mind or physically going on an adventure. The 9th house is connected to other cultures and foreign countries. So you may be learning about a different country or a different culture. You may be interested in learning a new language. You may be educating yourself about something new. And of course, the 9th house is connected to spirituality, religion, and your world beliefs, just generally speaking. So you can derive a lot of enjoyment from learning about these topics. Maybe you'll be reading some amazing books on such topics. And of course, some of you may be forming a relationship, as represented by the planet Venus, with a foreigner, as shown by the 9th house, or with an influential person. And the 9th house is also connected to import and export. And Gemini represents communications. And with Venus being your chart ruler, something that you have created or communications piece that you have produced could be circulating and reaching a larger audience than normal. So now let's have a look at Neptune retrograde. On the 28th of June, Neptune will station retrograde in the sign of Pisces at 25 degrees in your 6th house. Now, the 6th house is connected to bad habits, our routines, our daily sort of processes, and also the 6th house is connected to work and being of service, as it is, naturally the Virgo house. So with Neptune being retrograde here, this can see you actually letting go of habits and routines that don't serve you anymore. I didn't actually have any notes on this, but it's just coming to me now. Neptune represents pharmaceuticals, it represents alcohol, it represents drugs as well, anything which allows us to escape reality. So this could see you actually becoming cognizant of the fact that certain habits that you have formed, which maybe involve these things, are no longer working for you. Maybe you're not functioning. Maybe your mind is clouded. Maybe it's having a negative impact on your health, especially because the 6th house is connected to health. And maybe you're realizing that because you can't focus, you can't really go on this way. So it's time for you to let go of old habits and routines that just aren't serving you anymore. Now, Neptune, like Saturn, will be retrograde for 5 months. So it will station direct on the 4th of December in 2022. Now, because it's stationing retrograde at 25 degrees, which is the Aries degree, I actually really feel like this represents willpower, being stronger than whatever Neptunian influence you feel that you are under. Now, on a different note, this can see you sacrificing yourself to be of service to a community or helping people who are disempowered or underprivileged. Maybe you're just doing your bit to try to make someone's life easier. Neptune is connected to donations and charity, and also unconditional love and support. So with Neptune being retrograde in your 6th house, this can see you really digging deep into those things over the course of the next 5 months. So lastly, with Neptune being retrograde, the 6th house is connected to debt. So just be careful that you are not borrowing more money. Taking out a loan or borrowing money that's going to put you in a negative position in the future. So it's about, not spending more than you're making, I guess, finances 101. But lastly, for the month, on the 29th of June, Venus is going to make a sextile to Jupiter in Aries. So Venus will be in Gemini in your 9th house, and it will be making a sextile to Jupiter in Aries in your 7th house at 7 degrees. So I wanted to end this horoscope on a high. Venus is, of course, your ruling planet, and sextiles are very beneficial aspects in astrology, and they actually carry the energy of Venus anyway. So this represents an opportunity here for you, which appears to involve another person because we've got Jupiter in your 7th house. And essentially, with sextiles, we have to act on that energy. So just as an example, a very basic example, which I used for another sign already, if someone is like, hey, here's $50, I want you to treat yourself, and they, put like $50 on the table in front of you, you have to pick it up and take that money. Otherwise, you're literally leaving money on the table. So sextiles are kind of like that, where you have to say yes to the opportunity. Thank you. I'm going to take you up on this, or like literally take whatever you're being given and, make lemonade out of lemons kind of thing. So with this transit involving your 9th house and your 7th house, this can indicate a travel opportunity, an education opportunity, an opportunity to connect with a teacher or a life coach or someone who's quite influential. And this could really be helping you to reframe your everyday thinking. And I'm saying this because Jupiter represents teachers and wise counsel and advice, and it rules over your 6th house, which is health and daily habits and work. And it also rules over your 3rd house, which represents your mentality. Do you see the glass half full or half empty? So this opportunity at the end of the month could just be as simple as someone saying, hey, do you want to sit down and have a chat with me about your big dreams for the future? Venus in the 9th house, or about your education, or about your world beliefs. So someone could be imparting knowledge or wisdom on you, which is going to somehow expand your current set of world beliefs. So with Venus in the 9th house, this is about you reframing how you view the world, reframing how much potential you see for your life, just generally speaking. And because Venus rules over your 8th house, this conversation or this interaction could lead you to basically unravel or disentangle very complex issues and just be like, okay, I know what I need to do. I can move on. I can move forward. And really, I see this as the student becoming the master to an extent, because Venus is your chart ruler. It's in the 9th house of teaching, but it's sextiling Jupiter. So maybe this is an interaction with another person, which allows you to go on and become a teacher, to impart your knowledge, to share your beliefs, to have the confidence to voice your beliefs and know that you still have inherent value despite whether or not people agree with you. And so, Libra, that's all I have for you for June 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, Libra, and I will see you guys in July.